The Steelers have a wide receiver curse. What's going on, everyone? It's Riverside, and today we're going to be looking at the last 5 Steelers wide receivers to get traded and what the outcome was, and they were all pretty bad. So let's get into it, starting off with none other than George Pickens. My initial reaction to the trade is, it makes sense. That's the last year of his rookie contract. There's only been a handful of Steelers receivers in this century to get second contracts, those being Hines Ward, Antonio Brown, Juju Smith-Schuster, and Diontae Johnson. So it makes sense. Last year, the rookie contract for George Pickens, they trade him. The return ends up being a third-round pick and a fifth-round pick for Pickens to go to the Cowboys. And now the Steelers are stuck in the same place they were last year with no wide receiver 2, this time behind DK Metcalf. So we'll see what they do there, if they have any plans to maybe sign Keenan Allen or another receiver that's out there on the market right now. So let's go back and look at some of the other recent Steelers receivers to get traded and how they turned out. And you go back one offseason, you see Diontae Johnson to the Panthers. The Steelers' return in that trade was Diontae Jackson and a 6th-round pick, which they used to draft Logan Lee. How did Diontae Johnson do in Carolina? Well, he lasted 7 games. His best game, he had 8 catches, 122 yards, and a touchdown versus the Raiders. But he only lasted 7 games before being dealt at the deadline to the Ravens for a 5th-round pick. And in the 4 games that he played for the Ravens, he caught 1 pass. 1 whole pass. And then he got suspended for refusing to go into the game and was then released by the Ravens and would find himself on his 4th team in the calendar year going to the Texans. He caught 2 passes in the regular season finale, caught 1 pass in the wild card game before he was then again, once again, released. I guess he was complaining about not getting the ball even though his team beat the Chargers in the wild card round. I don't know. And just a couple of days ago, Diontae Johnson signed a 1-year deal with the Browns. Talk about a fall. I mean, this was all just in 1 year. I could have made a whole separate video on Diontae Johnson if I wanted to. I still might. That's the first example. Let's get into example number 2. Chase Claypool. Week 9 of 2022, Chase Claypool was traded to the Bears for a 2nd-round pick, which became Joey Porter Jr. Talk about a fleece there from Omar Khan. Chase Claypool, in the rest of 2022, did not score a touchdown for the Bears. His most receiving yards in a game was 51. You give up a 2nd-round pick for a guy and he plays 7 games and barely does anything. So then going into 2023, obviously they're hoping for more out of Claypool, but after week 1, Claypool gets criticized for the effort that he's putting in, ends up getting benched, and ends up getting traded to Miami for a 6th-round pick. The Bears traded a 2nd-round pick to get Chase Claypool and traded him for a 6th-round pick about a year later. And in Miami, Chase Claypool caught 4 passes and then signed with the Bills, never played a game there due to a toe injury, and has been a free agent ever since. So that's Chase Claypool. Just another example of these Steelers receivers going elsewhere and not living up to the hype. The next one is Antonio Brown going to the Raiders. The 3rd-round pick and 5th-round pick that the Steelers got in return ended up being Diontae Johnson, funny enough, and Zach Gentry. This is actually the same return that the Steelers got for George Pickens, a 3rd and a 5th. Antonio Brown was actually originally going to go to Buffalo, but then he threw a fit about it on social media, so that didn't happen. Anyways, upon him getting to Oakland, there's the cryotherapy incident where AB's feet get messed up. Antonio Brown's helmet gets banned by the NFL, and he throws a fit about that. Then he gets fined by the Raiders for missing a bunch of practices. He calls the GM a cracker before eventually getting released by the Raiders and not playing a single game. So thank you, Raiders, for the 3rd and 5th-round pick. Then AB ended up going to the Patriots, cut after 1 game, and hey, at least he got his ring in Tampa Bay. You know, everything was going normal in Tampa Bay, it looked like, and then he took his shirt off and left and never played in the NFL again. So that was the story of Antonio Brown after being traded. We got one more example to look at in this video. It's Martavis Bryant. Martavis Bryant was also traded to the Raiders. Steelers got a 3rd-round pick in exchange there. Martavis got released before the season even started in 2018, but then he re-signed with the Raiders, ended up playing 8 games before being placed on IR and then suspended indefinitely. He has been since reinstated, but he hasn't played a snap in the NFL since, despite being picked up by the Cowboys and the Commanders. So the last 4 Steelers receivers that got traded went elsewhere and did not live up to the hype. Diontae Johnson, Chase Claypool, Antonio Brown, and Martavis Bryant. Can George Pickens outdo what these guys did on their new teams? Let's find out. 2025 should be a fun season. Thank you guys for watching the video, and I'll see you guys later.